My name is Sophia Winters, and 10 years ago my family decided I wasn't worth keeping. No explanations, no goodbyes, just a suitcase on the porch and changed locks. Now they're drowning in debt, and suddenly I'm family again. The letter arrived yesterday. We need you, Sophia. But what they don't know is that I discovered why they really threw me away, and it wasn't for the reasons they told everyone. The envelope felt heavy in my hands, cream paper with gold trim, the kind that costs more than most people's hourly wage. I knew the handwriting immediately, my mother Eleanor's perfectly practiced penmanship, each letter deliberate and poised, just like her. I hadn't seen it in a decade, but some things burn themselves into your memory. Inside, 3 simple lines. Family emergency. Your father is ill. We need to talk. Below that, an address I'd spent years trying to forget, the Winters estate in Oakwood Heights. 10 years. 10 years since I was 17, and came home to find my belongings in 2 suitcases on the front steps. 10 years since my brother Marcus slipped me an envelope with $500 and whispered, "I'm sorry, I tried to stop them." 10 years since my mother looked at me through the bay window, her face expressionless as she drew the curtain shut. I'd built my life from those 2 suitcases, put myself through college waiting tables and sleeping in a converted garage. Earned my business degree while classmates complained about parental expectations over drinks I couldn't afford. Now I owned Winter Bloom Investments. Yes, I kept the name as a reminder. My company specialized in rescuing failing businesses. I was good at saving things, even if my family hadn't thought I was worth saving. "Are you going?" Eliza asked, sliding a coffee across my desk. She'd been with me since the beginning, from assistant to operations director, and the closest thing to family I had now. "I don't know," I lied. We both knew I was going. Not because they deserved it, but because I'd spent 10 years wondering why. The Winters estate looked smaller than I remembered. The imposing mansion that once made me feel insignificant was showing signs of neglect: peeling paint, overgrown gardens, a sense of fading grandeur. My Tesla looked out of place next to my father's vintage Bentley, which was visibly weathered, much like the man who once drove it. Marcus opened the door before I could knock. His face had hardened, the boyish features replaced by sharp angles and tired eyes. For a moment, we just stared at each other, a decade of silence between us. "Sophia," he finally said, voice cracking slightly. "You came." "I came," I replied, neither of us moving for an embrace. We were strangers now, connected only by a shared history of dysfunction. Inside, the house smelled of polish and disinfectant, the scent of wealth attempting to hide decay. My mother waited in the sitting room, perched on the edge of a chaise lounge like she was posing for a portrait. Her blonde hair was now silver, styled in the same immaculate updo. She'd aged, but in that careful way wealthy women do intentionally, expensively. "Sophia," she said, nodding slightly, "you look successful." "I am." I remained standing. "Where's father?" "Upstairs. The doctor is with him." She gestured to a chair opposite her. "But first, we should talk." I sat, crossing my legs and placing my designer bag conspicuously on my lap, wanted her to see it, to recognize the brand she'd once told me I'd never afford. "Let's talk then. Your father has liver failure. No emotion, just facts delivered like a weather report. He needs a transplant. Marcus isn't compatible." I didn't need a medical degree to understand what she was saying. "And you think I might be?" "We're hoping." I laughed. I couldn't help it. 10 years of silence, and now you want a piece of me, literally. "This isn't about the past, Sophia. This is about family." "Family?" The word felt foreign on my tongue. "You made it very clear I wasn't part of this family when you changed the locks and left me homeless." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "Sophia, please." "No, let her speak," Mother interrupted. "We all made mistakes. A mistake is forgetting someone's birthday. What you did was a choice." I stood, smoothing my skirt. "I'll see father now." My father looked small in his bed, machines beeping steadily around him. Lawrence Winters, once the towering CEO of Winters Financial Group, reduced to a frail figure beneath hospital-grade sheets. His eyes fluttered open as I entered, recognition slowly dawning. "Sophia," he whispered, reaching out a hand mottled with age spots. "You came." I didn't take his hand. "Mother says you need a transplant." Always direct, he said with a weak smile. I've missed that. Have you? I stepped closer. Because for 10 years, I haven't heard a word from you. Not when I graduated, not when my company made the Forbes list, not even a birthday card. His eyes closed briefly. We thought it was best to make a clean break. Best for whom? The question hung between us, unanswered. That night, I checked into the Oakwood Grand Hotel rather than stay at the estate. I needed space to think, to breathe without the weight of their expectations and disappointments pressing down on me. In my suite, I pulled out my laptop and did what I'd done countless times over the past decade. I searched for answers. Winters Financial Group had been a titan in the investment world when I was growing up. My father's face regularly appeared in business magazines, always alongside articles about his golden touch. But now, as I scrolled through recent news, a different picture emerged. The company was in trouble, serious trouble. Lawsuits, investigations, rumors of fraud. The stock had plummeted 70% in the last year. I dug deeper, calling in favors from contacts in the financial sector. By morning, I had a clearer picture. Winters Financial was on the brink of collapse, hemorrhaging clients and facing potential criminal charges. My father's illness couldn't have come at a worse time for the company, or perhaps a more convenient time for those who needed a distraction. When I returned to the estate the next day, I went armed with knowledge. Marcus met me at the door again, this time ushering me into the study, my father's sacred space where I'd rarely been allowed as a child. We need to discuss arrangements, he said, gesturing to a stack of papers on the desk. If you're a match, there are considerations. Like why Winters Financial is under investigation by the SEC, I interrupted, watching his face carefully. He paled slightly but recovered quickly. Business troubles, nothing unusual in our world. Unusual enough to warrant federal agents seizing documents last month. Marcus loosened his tie. How did you? I have resources now, I said simply. What I don't have is an explanation for why I was thrown out 10 years ago. Before I consider giving any part of myself to Father, I want the truth. A knock at the door saved him from answering. A young woman entered, petite, blonde, expensive-looking, in that understated way that takes real money. Something about her was eerily familiar. Sorry to interrupt, she said, voice honey sweet. I didn't realize you had company, darling. Marcus cleared his throat. Sophia, this is Victoria, my wife. Victoria's smile faltered slightly when she heard my name. The sister. How unexpected. I studied her face, the pieces suddenly clicking into place. We've met before, haven't we? She laughed nervously. I don't think so. 10 years ago, you were an intern at Winters Financial. The memory crystallized with perfect clarity. You were at the house the night before I was thrown out. Victoria's eyes darted to Marcus, who stepped forward. That's enough, Sophia. Is it? I turned to Victoria. You were in my father's study. With him. Alone. The color drained from her face. Marcus, I think you need to speak with your sister privately. After she left, Marcus poured himself a generous whiskey, not offering me one. It wasn't what you think. What I think is that I walked in on something I wasn't supposed to see, I said. And the next day I was no longer welcome in this family. Marcus knocked back his drink. You always were too smart for your own good. Tell me. He refilled his glass, hand trembling slightly. Victoria wasn't just an intern. She was the daughter of James Harrington. The name hit me like a physical blow. James Harrington had been my father's biggest rival, owner of Harrington Capital. Father's enemy. Competitor, Marcus corrected. Until they became partners. Victoria was part of the arrangement. Arrangement? A merger, essentially. Harrington had resources Father needed. Father had the reputation Harrington wanted. Victoria was insurance. Her marrying into the family sealed the deal. I felt sick. But I saw them together before any of that was public. Marcus looked away. Victoria was securing her position in the family. Father was entertaining the prospect. She was 22. I was shouting now. He was married. Your father. Keep your voice down, Marcus hissed. There's more. What could possibly? You threatened to tell Mother. You said it wasn't right. He drained his second whiskey. Father couldn't risk the merger falling apart. The company was already in trouble even then. The realization dawned on me, cold and clear. So I was sacrificed to protect the family reputation. The family business, he corrected again, as if that made it better. But yes. And Mother agreed to this? Marcus's silence was answer enough. I left the study without another word, my mind racing. In the hallway, I nearly collided with my mother, who was clearly on her way to check on our conversation. "What did Marcus tell you?" she demanded, her practiced composure slipping. "Everything," I said. "About Victoria, the Harrington merger, all of it." She grabbed my arm, fingers digging in with surprising strength. "You don't understand. The company was everything. Your father built it from nothing. And you helped him destroy it," I replied, pulling free, "along with your daughter's life. We gave you money. $500 and a lifetime of abandonment issues." I laughed bitterly. What a bargain. She straightened, reverting to the Ice Queen I remembered. "We need to know if you'll take the test, to see if you're a match for your father." I looked at her, really looked at her. Behind the expensive facade was a desperate woman clinging to a life that was slipping away. "I'll take the test." Relief flooded her face. "Thank you, Sophia. I know we've had our differences." "I'm not finished." I cut her off. "I'll take the test on one condition: complete transparency. I want access to all Winter's financial records, past and present. I want to know exactly what's happening with the company, the investigation, everything." "That's impossible. Those records are confidential." "Then so is my liver." 3 days later, I sat across from my family mother, father, and Marcus in the hospital consultation room. Dr. Bennett looked between us, sensing the tension. "Well," he began cautiously, "the good news is that Sophia is indeed a compatible donor." My father closed his eyes briefly, relief washing over his gaunt face. My mother reached for my hand. I moved it away. "However," the doctor continued, "we need to be clear about what this entails. It's major surgery for both parties, with significant recovery time and potential complications." "When can we schedule it?" my father asked weakly. Dr. Bennett looked at me. "That's up to Miss Winters. She needs to be fully on board." All eyes turned to me. In my lap, I clutched a USB drive containing everything I'd requested: financial records, board minutes, emails, transaction histories. What I'd found had shocked even me, and I'd been prepared for the worst. "I'll do it," I said finally. "But we need to talk first, in private." When the doctor left, I connected my laptop to the room's display screen. "Before I agree to anything, I want to make sure we're all on the same page about what really happened." "This isn't the time or place," my mother began. "It's exactly the time and place," I interrupted, pulling up the first Documenta financial statement from 10 years ago. Winter's Financial wasn't just in trouble back then, it was functionally insolvent. My father shifted uncomfortably in his wheelchair. "Business cycles." "Fraud isn't a business cycle," I said, displaying the next documenternal emails discussing falsified returns. "You were stealing from your clients, cooking the books to hide losses." Marcus leaned forward. "Where did you get those?" "From the archives you so helpfully provided," I replied. "You didn't think I'd actually read everything, did you? Thousands of pages of financial gibberish?" But that's exactly what I did. I clicked through more documents, evidence of my father's systematic fraud spanning decades, the Harrington merger that was really a bailout, and finally, the most damning revelation: evidence that my father had been embezzling from the company pension fund. "The SEC investigation isn't just about improper disclosures," I said quietly. "It's about theft. You stole from your employees' retirement funds to maintain your lifestyle." My mother had gone very still. "Lawrence, tell me this isn't true." My father couldn't meet her eyes. "I was going to fix it. The market would turn around." "That's what every fraudster tells themselves," I said. "And now you need me to save your life so you can what? Face criminal charges? Spend your remaining years in prison?" "What do you want?" Marcus asked, his voice hollow. "I want what was taken from me. 10 years of family, a home, a sense of belonging." I closed my laptop. "But you can't give me that. No one can. What you can do is make amends." I outlined my terms. My father would confess to his crimes, cooperate fully with authorities, and establish a restitution fund for those he'd defrauded, particularly the pensioners. The Winters estate would be sold, with proceeds going to the fund. Marcus would step down from the company, which would be restructured under new leadership. If you do all this, I concluded, I'll donate part of my liver. You're destroying everything we've built, my mother whispered. No, I corrected her. You did that when you chose wealth over integrity, when you threw away your daughter to protect a house of cards. 2 months later, I awoke in a recovery room, a new scar curving along my abdomen. In the bed next to mine, separated by a curtain, my father was also recovering. The surgery had been successful. Marcus visited first, looking more rested than I'd seen him in our recent encounters. Victoria left, he said without preamble. Once the assets were frozen, she filed for divorce. I'm sorry, I said, and meant it. He shrugged. Don't be. It was never real. I think I always knew that. What will you do now? Start over. Somewhere smaller. Simpler. He hesitated. What about you? Heal. Then get back to work. My company is still standing, unlike some I could mention. He almost smiled. You always were the strong one. The criminal proceedings against my father moved quickly, his cooperation expediting the process. He would serve time, though less than he might have without his health issues and voluntary confession. The restitution fund was established, with me as trustee, a responsibility I accepted not for him, but for those he'd harmed. My mother struggled the most with their new reality. The estate sold, her social standing evaporated, she found herself living in a modest condo paid for by my company. We had coffee occasionally, awkward affairs where we circled the truth without quite touching it. I don't expect you to forgive us, she said during one of these meetings. Good, I replied. Because I don't forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Then why did you help? I considered the question carefully. Because helping was the right thing to do. Because in saving him, I saved myself from becoming what you all became, people who would sacrifice anything, anyone, for money and status. You're better than us, she said softly. No, I corrected her. I'm just less broken. 6 months after the surgery, I received a letter from my father, written from the minimum security facility where he was serving his sentence. Inside was a single photograph, me at 16, smiling widely after winning a debate competition. On the back he'd written just 5 words. I never deserved you, sorry. I didn't respond. Some wounds take more than words to heal. When people ask me now about family, I tell them about Eliza and my team at Winterbloom. I tell them about the community I've built, the friends who showed up during my recovery, the chosen connections that proved stronger than blood. Sometimes, though, I think about that 17-year-old girl, standing on the porch with 2 suitcases, betrayed by the people who should have protected her. I wish I could tell her that one day she wouldn't just survive, she would thrive. And I wish I could tell her that sometimes the greatest revenge isn't destroying your enemies but becoming so completely yourself that they can't help but recognize what they threw away. My name is Sophia Winters, and 10 years ago, my family decided I wasn't worth keeping. They were wrong. If my story resonates with you, if you've ever been cast aside or made to feel you weren't enough, remember this. Your worth isn't determined by those who fail to see it. And sometimes, the family you need isn't the one you're born into, it's the one you build from the ruins of what broke you. I'd love to hear your stories. Have you ever had to walk away from toxic family members? Did you ever return? And if so, what happened? Drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from. If this story touched something in you, type 1 in the comments so I know it reached the right hearts. Subscribe for more stories of resilience, redemption, and the complicated reality of family. Because your story matters too, and you deserve to be heard.